Right then, here we are, the England One Cap podcast. My name's Prendergast, and his name is
Callum George Shaw.
Callum George Shaw. Names don't get more patriotic than that. I'll tell you that.
Emphasis on the George. Emphasis on the George.
On the George, capital George. The premise of this podcast, the England One Cap podcast. You know, anyone can play for England 50 times. Wayne Rooney right here. No, it takes the special players to be the one cap wonders, and I don't know. They're a lot more interesting for me. We talk about them all the time, Cal. To be honest, so
well, it's weird because when we first met, I wouldn't always think of this player's a one cap, this player's a one cap, but then little passing comments over time watching football games like, oh, there's Nathan Redmond, and then just back on my England one cap. It wasn't until then I was like, is this a thing? And then little did I know it's got its own Wikipedia page, which to this day I'm convinced you started that Wikipedia page because I just cannot see who else would have done it.
I wish I did. I like that whenever I've told people about this podcast, they've been a bit like, that's a bit weird. But I know they can win him over. Like you said, you wouldn't have said, oh, he's a one cap. They don't have that state of mind. But I know Once this gets going, people will be like, that sounds like a one cap. They'd be like, Callum Shaw, that sounds like someone who played once for England.
Exactly, mate. And the thing is, with these one caps, there's some absolute enigmas. There's some characters, it's brilliant. Well, obviously we'll get on to them over time, but who are we going to be talking about today? That's the big question.
I'll tell you, Steven Caulker.
Steven Caulker.
Not going to put up anymore. Steven Caulker, what a man.
Yeah, Stephen Roy Caulker, actually.
Stephen Roy Caulker, yeah.
Since we're all doing middle names today.
Speaking about Roy, those are the words Roy said. He said, get that fucking Caulker on when we played Sweden, November 2012, in what is the weirdest England game of our lifetime, without a doubt.
Honestly, mate, absolutely bizarre.
He's definitely making it up as he went along at some point, Roy. I mean, we are on this podcast, so we're paying tribute to him as an England manager.
Absolutely.
But I was looking at the squad, and it's referred to it as Roy's new look England team, and it's like new look is one way to call it.
Yeah, new look when you put in Leon Osman in the starting 11.
I was going to say that. There were 6 debuts that game. 3 of which are one caps.
Steven Caulker.
Yes.
Carl Jenkinson.
Yes, what a man.
Ryan Shawcross.
Those are the one caps.
We had. The man we just mentioned, Leon Osman. Wilfred Zaha, I think.
Oh, yes.
And the 6th one is escaping me.
He's a big player. He's in the Euro squad.
Really?
Yeah.
Sterling. Raheem Sterling.
So look at the different paths those players took from all starting their England career. One's dicking about in the Ivory Coast playing for them. One's one of our best players. One's retired.
Elaborate list. Some absolute characters there. Carl Jenkinson. Get onto him down the line at some point because he's just had the weirdest career ever. It's
mad. As if we've taken 4 right backs to the World Cup and they're all Euros and they're all great. But once upon a time we started Carl Jenkinson in the right back.
Yeah, Glenn Johnson first choice, average as best. Carl Jenkinson back up.
Glenn Johnson is a very lucky boy. He was born when he was. Because a couple of years later, he's not getting near this squad.
You could say that about so many players in that kind of 2010 to 2017, 2016 period.
Well, I was going to ask that question about Caulker with this England squad, but we'll get onto that later on. Go back to where it started. As many stories start. Yeovil, right there.
The mighty Yeovil.
09-10 season.
That's the one.
That's his professional football debut, isn't it? Unless he had a League Cup for him, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't think he did. I think his debut for Spurs was Arsenal in a League Cup, but I want to say that was after the Yeovil spell.
I think it was, to be honest. I think
I think so.
He was sick for Yeovil. Like he's so highly regarded there. I can't remember watching him, but because all Yeovil games blur into one for me. But people talk about him as if he was a legend. when I worked for a prestigious Somerset-based cleaning company, and I went as like a guest to the game a couple of times. You go in the first staircase, and the first two shirts you've seen, Luke Ayling on the left, and then Steven Caulker on the right, like loud and proud. Like,
yeah, obviously iconic duo there. Luke Ayling, special place in my heart, Mighty Leeds United. But yeah, I was really surprised when I was researching his time at Yeovil. 44 out of 45 starts in that season. Only a teenager. He won 4 out of 5 of the end of season awards, and he got voted in Yeovil's team of the decade, which as a lone player is just absolutely absurd.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's mad. And it's weird, like that was such a mid-table obscurity League One side. I think we've had, in my lifetime, we've had 5 players from Yeovil play for England. 4 of them won caps, but 3 of them were in that mid-table obscure side, like him, Ryan Mason, Alex McCarthy. Who are like,
yeah, because I saw that he went to he came over with Mason, didn't they? Same season, Caulker and Mason.
Them and Jonathan Obika for
Obika, Obika. Oh, what a great three! Yeah.
Obika, man.
Jonathan Obika. Whenever I saw him, limited time, just so average, absolutely so average. Proper League One fodder striker.
Do you want a striker to score 8 goals over the season in League One? He's your man. Get him in.
8 goals, 2 assists, plenty of missed one-on-ones.
Yeah, so it's weird, but what can I say? He's a legend at Yeovil, but things haven't stayed as successful as they were when he was at Yeovil.
No. Well, I was looking. There's a couple of loan spells after his time at Yeovil. Bristol City. He was highly regarded there. Young Player of the Year. 29 games in the Championship, which is pretty successful, I'd say.
I was reading about, because we'll probably get onto this. He's got a history of drinking problems and gambling problems, and he says how the gambling problem started was at Bristol City, because he was 8. It's mad though. He was 18. They gave him his own flat, middle of the city centre. Like his flat was here, and then there was 2 casinos opposite his flat, and so he was just like, well, I'm 18. I've got nothing else to do.
Exactly.
Just
That's
money
the thing. Like, people very easy. Oh, we'll get into this more later. But people very easy to criticise people who develop gambling addictions, alcohol addictions when they're a footballer. But when you're a young lad and your mates are doing the same, it's just what you want to do. Obviously you love football as well, but you want to have a good time. And recently on the Under the Cosh podcast, which is really good.
Yeah,
really like it. Watch every week. And Liam Dickinson on that, he's just a player that had potential to be probably top end middle championship, but he just wanted to go out and have fun whilst playing football as well.
Yeah.
But when you're Steven Caulker and you're tipped up to be this highly rated young English defender, it's hard to balance that with getting game time in the Premier League, going out and learning Championship clubs, building up your experience. And just got to feel for him in that aspect, because some players, they just want to have fun, they want to drink, they want to gamble, but you can't really do it in this day and age when you're playing at the top level.
Like it says so much about English football players, because he said he went to the club and they found out he was gambling a lot, and they were like, we don't care what you do in your spare time as long as it doesn't affect your performances. And then I was reading something about him donating. He spends a lot of time in Africa and India helping out an orphanage and shelters, and then that was referred to as throwing his money around because he didn't know what else to do with it. And it's like, really? Like, have a go in for gambling.
I mean, it's definitely getting a lot better now, but there's still, definitely was more problems with mental health in football. Like, so many cases just get swept under the rug, and that's just a shame to see. But I read about his charity work, because he's got Sierra Leone heritage, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah.
I saw he'd done some charity work there, which is really great, obviously.
But some England players have a target on the back as soon as they play for England. I mean, same game 100%. As Raheem. Raheem had a target on his back from the media.
Massive.
Top.
Got to be one of the most scrutinised England players of all time. For no real reason.
For no reason. Do you remember when he got the gun tattoo and everyone was on him, and it's just like,
I know.
I just assumed it was bad just because of the way I read it, and I'm like, well, hang on, I don't give a fuck about that. What do I?
Yeah. people saying, needs to be a better role model, but he's a young guy playing for England. Like Raheem Sterling seems like a really nice guy as well. I just don't understand the media scrutiny, but that's the media for you. They obviously get bored and have nothing else better to do. So
One of the reasons Zaha left, wasn't he? He couldn't hack it.
Yeah, I know. Can't blame him, can you? Cannot blame him.
Not at all. Right, so we're at Bristol. Then what happens? He goes to Swansea.
Swansea, and in the Premier League as well, newly promoted.
Yeah.
Quite to get a loan at a Premier League club straight off Yeovil League One, Bristol City in Championship. Neither team's, that great. But he obviously stood out and got a move to Premier League club on loan, which is crazy.
Is that Brendan Rodgers, Swansea?
Yeah, Rodgers. Rodgers spoke really highly of him when he was there.
I mean, every manager I've looked at about Caulker has spoken so highly about him. Like Holloway is singing his praises in one article, so he smashed it in the Prem for Swansea, and that was and then he goes back to Spurs and then gets the England call up that following season.
Yeah, he was. I think he 28 games for Spurs in the 2012-2013 season, which is pretty good. England call up as well, Premier League debut, 4-year contract as well. He got offered to 2016, and just seemed like the sky was the limit.
We got to talk about that England game though. 4-2 v Sweden.
It's iconic in all the wrong ways, isn't it?
It's like I've watched the highlights so many times the last few days. It's like I'm not even mad because Zlatan, it is one of the best performances you from a player.
Take nothing away from Zlatan. He really did, but at the same time, obviously take nothing away from Zlatan. Fantastic player, but the defending and the goalkeeper, Joe Hart in that game, watching the highlights before.
Low free kick that he doesn't even move for.
I mean, seen that a few times since, but yeah, obviously Ryan Shawcross had a torrid time when he came on. But Steven Caulker, actually, from his own individual perspective, it's actually one of the most successful debuts for England.
1 game, 1 goal.
1 game, 1 goal. Brought off after 75 minutes around that mark, and they were 2-1 up at the time.
Yeah.
What more did he do,
I mean, he was the man on Zlatan for the goal, but he blocks his first shot.
Yeah.
And then it goes in. I mean, you could say they were to block it or not were to block a second one. I don't know.
I thought it was a really good block. I just got a bit unlucky. Because he kind of blocked it, tried to keep his foot in, slipped, last-ditch attempt. But I thought it was a pretty good block. And he also made another really good block, like a deflection over the bar a bit later on in that game as well, and then scored a volley of all things. So
back post, isn't it?
Gerrard free kick.
Imagine
future Liverpool link up there.
Imagine being a good little tease there for the.
Yeah.
Imagine being 1-1 England.
I know, crazy. Not many can say it, but yeah, Steven Caulker. But it's just he gets this England call up, and I don't know. I know he had a lot of injury problems in his time. I think that season with Spurs, he did pick up an injury kind of just after that England game. Then when he came back, he was straight back in the starting lineup. And then, I'll let you tell me what happened after that, because a bit of a bizarre transfer, really.
What, Spurs to Cardiff?
Spurs to Cardiff, when, New England debutant playing 28 games that season, highly rated England defender. It just didn't make much sense at the time.
And I'll tell you why it makes sense, because Daniel Levy is a prick. That's
why.
A big scrap of Levy.
I was going to say, obviously I read it. Yeah, I read about this in the article, an article I read. And because, like I said, at the time, it was just like, that's a bit strange that, Cardiff probably going to be one of the favourites to go down. Highly rated English defender. You just think, what a risk going to Cardiff. But yeah, after I read the whole Levy thing, which I'm sure you can go into more detail about it all made sense in the end. So,
well, Levy said something along the lines of, was it about his gambling or something, or his nightlife?
Yeah.
And he said, sort it out.
Just in general, just his general, life outside of football.
Levy's like, you need to sort your attitude out or leave the club. So he left the club, and ends up at Cardiff. Fuck Daniel Levy though.
Well, yeah. He speaks for himself. We can't say anything that people haven't said about Daniel Levy, especially in the past 6 months or so. But yeah, and I think he said that to Caulker whilst they were on a pre-season tour abroad as well.
He was in the Bahamas, I believe.
That's it. Oh, was he just on holiday? He might have just been on holiday then.
I think so.
But yeah. Fuck Daniel Levy.
But then he was so great at Cardiff. Played every minute of the season. Scored the 1-0 against Swansea. South Wales derby.
That's the one I always remember. Because obviously Cardiff that season wearing that red home top, which the fans were absolutely fuming about.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I don't claim to have watched every Cardiff game that season, but from when I did, he was definitely one of their best players. Not that was saying much, but still, from what I saw, pretty good.
Linking up with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the end of the season. Where are they now?
Yeah,
I know. They hope they're staying contracts.
Although you definitely would have thought they'd have gone similar ways after the job Ollie did at Cardiff. You wouldn't have thought he'd end up as manager of the biggest club in the world. But
look at how well Caulker did at Cardiff and how well Solskjaer did. You wouldn't have thought one would be. You didn't thought the other way around. Turkey and United.
Literally just gone like that, hasn't it? Yeah. It's just
And then he went QPR because so Cardiff get relegated. Then he goes QPR. Plays well again, but gets relegated again.
Yeah, and they were nearly promoted again. So yeah, another Premier League move, and then back relegation. But he could have gone to some better clubs. Like I think there was big Celtic interest and potentially someone else as well.
Yeah, Brendan again at Celtic, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think he just obviously he's born in London, so I think he had a nice support net there when he was trying to deal with his problems. So fair play to the guy if he needs to do what he needs to do there.
Yeah, and I think when Celtic came in, he was injured, so he didn't want to go up and have to recover in Celtic. I think he wanted to be around his family in London, which is fair.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
But I do feel like it's weird because he was playing better for Cardiff than when he got the England call up at Spurs, arguably.
Yeah,
playing more regular football. It's probably just because he got relegated twice, which it's not a good thing. Let's be fucking honest. But
yeah, no, it's not.
I wonder if he could have got another England call up based on his form, or whether there was big team bias. Like, look at. Does Southgate pick him? Southgate probably doesn't care he got relegated twice. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale was in the provisional, wasn't he?
Exactly. Well, look, Ben White is going to the Euros, and Brighton. I mean, they stayed up, they did what they needed to do, but they weren't. Well, they get praised for their good football. They're a lovely team to watch, but position-wise in the table, they weren't amazing. But Southgate picks him off performances, and that's how it should be with England. But over the years, especially under Sven, Capello, and Roy, players that were playing well for the bottom clubs just weren't getting picked, and players that were playing poorly for the top clubs were still getting picked just off loyalty and stature, which isn't what England should be about. But
yes or no, a prime Caulker, let's say prime is Cardiff.
prime Cardiff Caulker, yeah.
Does Southgate pick him in this England squad now?
I don't know. I'm going to say no. Obviously, everyone picked for England now is a lot more recent in the mind. And don't get me wrong, I would personally love to pick Steven Caulker over Tyrone Mings.
I knew it was going to be Mings, yeah.
Well, another time on Mings. But I don't think he does. I don't think Southgate would pick him, especially Cardiff if they got relegated. I know Ramsdale was in the provisional, but no, I don't think he gets picked. That's my opinion.
Sorry, Stephen, if you're listening. Next time,
sorry, Steve. No disrespect.
So if it ended there, it would look like a very respectable centre-back career. Then, he got to the Southampton 3 games. There's nothing of note to talk about that, really, is there? Not for me.
That was I honestly forgot that happened until I had a look the other day. Again, no offence, Stephen, if you're watching.
Then he goes from QPR in the Championship as a centre-back on loan to Liverpool, where they bring him on as a late striker.
I absolutely love this. When I was reading enough about it, and I remember, I think they're playing Arsenal at home, and I think they even needed a late equaliser, a late winner. Steven Caulker comes on about 3-5 minutes ago. You're thinking, what's going on here? Straight up front, long ball route one. It's just from a team and a club like Liverpool, you just do not expect to see that.
But it worked in one game.
I think it was that Arsenal.
Lallana
against Norwich. Against Norwich.
And there's Norwich, that is it.
Yeah,
Lallana,
against Norwich. Yeah, crazy game that. But yeah, it stuck him up front, win flick-ons. Hey, it worked a couple of games, so who are we to knock Klopp? Assume it was Klopp at the time, I think.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
I know I said I had nothing to say about Southampton. I do. Because he said at Southampton was the moment he realised, like, what am I doing with my life? And I'm sure then going to Liverpool as a striker, although it would have been fun, he must have been wondering, like, what is going on? I don't know. And
I know, just obviously to us you think, oh, going on loan to Liverpool, you probably get a nice little boost on the wages, but obviously to him he was in a really bad place, and I doubt he enjoyed a single minute of that loan spell, even though he's playing for one of the best clubs in the world.
It's like it's a bit of a novelty act when you bring a centre back on up top, you know.
I know. Yeah.
Whenever we did it at Yeovil, I loved it because it was funny. It wasn't like it wasn't like this is tactical genius. It was like a novelty thing.
It's like the step below a keeper coming up for a corner and scoring. Or just a keeper coming up for a corner, full stop. That's just the best, you know. Keeper comes up, everyone in the ground wants that keeper to score. And yeah, when you put a centre back up top, we did it a few times at Leeds back in the League One days, and it's a good laugh at the time. But looking back, I get the feel that centre back's just kind of being taken the piss out of a little bit. I don't know, like in a way, you're like, oh, let's just stick the big man up front, but like, surely you've got several strikers that can do that role as well. But
it definitely didn't help his career. Like, this is a guy, he's going on loan because he's looking for a new club. You know, no one's going to be like, oh, do we have a centre back who could potentially go up top? But, no, because
I just cannot believe for a minute Liverpool's thought process was, let's buy him and bring him on as a striker if we need a goal.
It says a lot about the strikers Liverpool had at the time, though.
Yeah, it really did.
In that period, what do you have? Balotelli and Barini and
Balotelli, Ricky Lambert, Barini.
I won't say a bad word about Ricky Lambert on this podcast.
Well, no, of course not. I don't know if Origi was the season after or whether he joined that season, but he was definitely in that ballpark. So
maybe Storage was there actually. But
yeah, Storage was there. Yeah.
They're probably hanging out in Turkey as we speak, aren't they, Caulker and?
Yeah. It could be best mates. You never know.
So he finishes his legendary spell at Liverpool and goes to Dundee.
Yeah, did he take a bit of time out for a little bit?
Yeah,
in between this, I think, to clear up his gambling and alcohol problems, which he successfully did. Because I think he's coming up to nearly 3 years clean now. Of alcohol and gambling, which is really good. And that started at Dundee, which we can't claim to know much about Dundee and Scottish football.
Nor do I claim to give a shit about the Scottish football. Let's be honest.
Yeah, prefer Dundee United anyway. But scored on debut though.
Did
he? Yeah, scored on debut.
He loves a debut goal. Give him that.
He does. He really does. Scored on debut, 17 games. I can't really say much more than that about his time at Dundee.
Did he leave on? I don't know if he left on bad terms, but I know his contract was terminated, or he asked to leave his contract mid-season.
Yeah. I've got a feeling, as he did with QPR as well, which again I'm not sure if it was bad feelings, but it was definitely left on mutual consent. You never know what that actually means. It could be good gesture. It could be problems behind the scenes, but.
That might be my most hated phrase in football.
Contract terminated by
mutual consent. It's like, don't be a fucking coward. Tell us who he hit. Tell us what he said.
Yeah, it just gets thrown around so much as well, and you just know, especially with some players that you see that get released on those terms, just like something's happened there.
Yeah.
Something has absolutely happened there.
Mario Balotelli leaves by mutual consent. Oh
Yeah.
wow. I'm not sure
Yeah, that was definitely handshake. Cheers, thanks for your time, mate.
But so he then after Dundee, 29, another break from football. He then goes to the club he's at now, which is called Alanyaspor.
Oh, perfect pronunciation there. Beautiful.
I've been practicing. Isn't Turkey's a weird one now? A lot of players are going over to Turkey towards the end of their career. Is it like a mega rich league? I don't know, but players are going.
Well, I don't think it. Basically, I think they offer better wages than players would get if they played in the Championship or League One.
Right.
So to them, they get to go over there. They still play first tier European football, chances of Europe as well. And the weather's just fucking class. So you can't really knock old players, but I suppose Caulker was a bit different because he's still not that old. Yeah, is he? What is he? 29?
Yeah, 29? I think he's 29.
Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously it's benefited him massively because I know he's embraced the Turkish culture over there. He's sorted his life out. He's loving it over there. So,
I saw a post on Instagram though. It was sad, but it was sweet. He was like, "Oh, first time seeing my son in 7 months." Obviously, because of COVID, he couldn't see his boy.
Oh yeah.
But that's the side of football that doesn't really get talked about. Like the fact he has to go for work.
Yeah.
And he's got to go to like the other side of the world and leave all of his family. And it's same thing with Yeovil. When I used to work for the cleaning company, I'd see players in like a house together. And they'd moved from like Carlisle at a day's notice into a house with 5 other blokes. It's like, you don't realise that the sacrifices you sometimes got to make to be
I know.
Baller.
But one man that doesn't make those sacrifices is Neil Warnock, because when he was Leeds manager, he still lived like down your way, kind of towards Cornwall.
He isn't Cornwall, Warnock, can he?
Yeah. And when he became, I'm not sure what he's done at Borough, but when he was at Leeds, he lived in Cornwall and drove or got the train to training every day.
So same with Rotherham, wasn't it?
Yeah, same with Rotherham, yeah. Which his poor wife probably never saw him, but
I hope he's sat at home waiting for the Yeovil job to come up.
Yeah.
only a few hours, Neil.
Yeah, but he'll love that. Work from home, beautiful.
A few things we haven't mentioned about him, and I only found this out recently. Do you remember the Team GB at the Olympics?
Oh, I was waiting for you to bring this up.
Because that was a fucking car crash.
Do you ever think about that and just imagine that it's all a dream? Like I sometimes say, I am convinced that Team GB 2012 team never happened.
Yeah, and like the team, you know every player, but they're all some of them are kind of just obscure mid-table players. Like Craig Dawson played that. Have I made that up? Like,
I think he must have done, but like 2012, I'm not even sure I would have known who Craig Dawson was. I don't know where he was playing then, but there was definitely requirements that you could only have a certain amount of top level players, right? I think
it was 3 over 23.
and one was Ryan Giggs.
One was Ryan Giggs because it was Euro 2012, so we couldn't have anyone who was pitching the England squad. So I think it was Ryan Giggs. I know the other two. Can you name them?
Oh, I'm not sure I can, mate. There's one on the tip of my tongue, but I just remember Stuart Pearce manager, Ryan Giggs, Steven Caulker, Marvin Sordell up top.
Marvin Sordell, what a bloke.
I don't know why. I think I was trying to look for your brother's podcast the other day, and I was going through your Instagram followers to try and find the page, and saw you were following Marvin Sordell on Instagram.
What's funny about that?
I don't know. It's just you go through these people we know, people that you obviously know, but really famous people. Marvin Sordell. It just tickled me. It just did. I don't know why.
I'll do you one more, and I'll link this to my previous question. Marvin Sordell is one of my favourite people on Instagram. I think he makes great content.
I know. You said
he works at the BBC. Does a lot of racism in football documentaries. Says some great stuff.
Yeah. All respect to the guy.
And funny you say that. Whenever I search a footballer, they always, no matter what tier, they always seem to be followed by one guy who was one of the over 23s in Team GP, Mika Richards.
Here we go.
Mika
Of
Richards
course,
follows every footballer in the world on Instagram.
He just loves it, doesn't he? Have you been watching Mika Richards and Roy Keane's card flip? Oh, it's good. Roy Keane, he's so funny. I love him. I really do.
He wouldn't take any of that gambling nonsense from
he wouldn't, would he?
The third player was Craig Bellamy for our two viewers at home who are wondering.
Yeah, bit generous.
So I feel like a good place to end these podcasts for England One Cat Wonders is summing up whether we think this player was lucky to get his England called up or unlucky to get more. What do you reckon?
Yeah. It's a weird one because you look at some of the players getting in at the time and you think, well, if they're getting in, then at the time, Steven Caulker, and even now, young English centre-backs are absolute gold dust. Everyone loves them. I mean, just look at how much Harry Maguire went to Man U for. And that price tag was because he was English and a centre-back. They're really hard to come by at the minute, considering we had Ferdinand, Terry, Campbell, King, Carrier all at once. And now we really are scraping the barrel with centre-backs, and that's the truth. So I'm going to say that Caulker, at the time, and as a young English centre-back playing well, I think that cap was fully deserved, and he was potentially, maybe, unlucky not to get a couple more.
I agree, mate. I definitely think at the time, he was better than most other centre-backs.
Yeah.
And then obviously, it goes down the league. He wasn't getting picked because he was further down the league than other players. But yeah, Steven, talk to us. We think you should have got more.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't stopped there though. It hasn't stopped there. He said in December, I still want to play international football.
Ah, yes.
And
there was talks when he was at Dundee because he's eligible to play for Scotland.
Yeah, and he only played in a friendly for England, so he can make the OC through.
I'm absolutely amazed he's not had a Scotland call up yet, because I'm trying to think of their centre back. Obviously, they play like Tierney at centre back, even though he's a left back.
Because their best two players are left backs, so they squeeze them both in.
I know our captain Liam Cooper. He played, but I don't think he's a regular starter. And Scotland are always giving a variety of people debuts, so he's only 29. There is absolutely no reason why he couldn't play for Scotland.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean,
yeah,
he's obviously played to a good standard. He's played in Scotland before. He wants to play international football. I think he'll be fine. Get him.
Yeah,
who's Scotland manager? Is it Steve Clarke?
Yeah, Steve Clarke.
I'll get him on the phone after this.
Yeah, I hope it's Steve Clarke now. We've said that so adamantly. But yeah, and also when he was speaking about international, he said that he wasn't necessarily finished with playing in England yet. But the way I see it, if he's happy in Turkey and he's doing so well, he's 3 years sober alcohol, 3 years without gambling, and if Turkey's suiting him, he's loving it, then I don't see why he shouldn't just stay there. But that's up to Steven. So
when I've been reading about it, I'm just like, I hope you're all right, Steven. You seem like you deserve to be happy, man.
Yeah, he definitely does.
And also, if he did go to Scotland, let's say he was in the Euros now, he's scoring against us.
Oh, you just see it.
A little back
stick him up front. Stick him up front last 5 minutes. If Jurgen Klopp can do it, so can we.
Right, that's a good note to end on. This has been the first episode of the England One Cat podcast. I think it's gone very well, personally, not to blow my own trumpet. But
mate, really enjoyed it. I cannot wait to explore some more characters that we've got lined up.
Great, we'll get it out there. Give us a message who you want to see us talk about, and we'll be with you soon.
Lovely.